Hello and welcome in NFL Live. Left to right, I've got Marcus Spears. I've got Booger McFarland. I've got Jeff Darlington. I here am Field Yates. And we begin our show with news in Pittsburgh as former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores, who is currently suing the NFL and 3 franchises while alleging racial discrimination, was hired on Saturday as a defensive assistant, the linebackers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A move that certainly caught the attention of many around the NFL. So our guys, let's hear their reactions and Wayne. And Marcus, what do you make of this move? Brian Flores to Pittsburgh, working alongside Mike Tomlin on the defensive staff.
First of all, it's good to see you, fellas. It feels like it's been forever. It's only been like a couple weeks. But here's the thing, man. First, let's address the elephant in the room, babyface. That's what I call Phil Yates America, is that this is awkward. Right? Like we all talked about, Brian Flores obviously dealing with a lawsuit against the NFL while also working within the construct of the system. And I don't want anybody to be confused. He's still in a position to change what he has addressed and what he's talked about in these lawsuits and been all over television talking about the hiring practices. We see the number of black coaches not being hired at the rate in which it should be. As opposed to what we've watched during this hiring cycle. And then, too, just overqualified. But that's neither here nor there. What I want to say is Mike Tomlin and obviously this Pittsburgh Steelers franchise with the Rooneys in ownership understand the gravity of this moment, and they understand the gravity of this decision to bring Brian Flores on. But don't get it twisted. I don't want anybody to lose the real foundation of this. Don't lose sight that you just got a hell of a coach on this staff. All right, we're going to talk about all of these things that are transpiring around Brian Flores and the NFL. And Mike Tomlin, low-key, went out and got one of the best coaches in the NFL to be a defensive assistant and a linebackers coach. And it's going to enhance their opportunities to win games. So that's the football perspective. And we all know that we'll have a long off season to talk about all of the other stuff that's transpiring around Brian Flores and this lawsuit.
Yeah, Swag, I agree with you, and I'll just take it to the next level. The Pittsburgh Steelers' run defense was terrible last year. So if you're Mike Tomlin, you're trying to figure out a way, how can I help my defense? How can I get my guys back going? Oh, by the way, Brian Flores, one of the most known and most respected defensive coaches, is available. Rob Ninkovich, who is always on this show, talks about how he credits Brian Flores for helping him improve. So there you have a testimony of a coach that can help you get better as a player. We will talk about, and I've heard all the rumblings about how Mike Tomlin threw Brian Flores a lifeline. And you know what? That may be so, because as an African-American head coach, if Mike Tomlin is not going to look out for other African-American coaches, then who will? Somebody has got to look out for it, because the past 15 years has shown us that the rest of the NFL, the rest of the world, is not looking out for the African-American coach. But Swagoo, to your point, which I think is the overwhelming point, Brian Flores is a really, really good football coach. He is a defensive specialist, and Pittsburgh needs help on defense. Their run defense was terrible. Yeah, I hear the elephant in the room about the lawsuit, and Brian Flores, as a man and as a former head coach, has to deal with that himself. However, he talked about his passion. It was coaching football, and he has an opportunity now to affect young men and coach football, and I'm happy for him and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
To reiterate, for those who may be wondering, just because Brian Flores has been hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers, his lawsuit is not going away. He is going to continue to press forward. We will follow that story as it develops over the next couple of weeks or perhaps months. But for more perspective, Jeff Darlington, what's been the reaction around the league to this hire of Brian Flores, who comes to Pittsburgh after 3 years with a winning record in the last 2 in Miami?
Well, viewed through the football prism, the perspective of a lens just looking at this from football business, a lot of people in the league understand what exactly was going on with Brian Flores, that he was going to take his time when it was clear he wasn't going to get a head coaching job and find the best situation. He is overqualified in terms of the title that he's taking on with the Steelers, but oftentimes when it comes to former head coaches, they do just that because of the offset language in their contract. He could go anywhere essentially. The Dolphins are still on the hook for his next 2 seasons through the contract that he had signed with them. So he can go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, essentially get paid $100 a year, whatever he decided on, and still get the money from the Dolphins. So generally speaking, in this situation, Flores looks at the Pittsburgh Steelers and says, That's where I want to continue my coaching career, resurrect my coaching career so I can eventually get another shot at a head coaching job. So just strictly through that lens, this made all the sense in the world for Flores, taking what is a job that he is overqualified to work in, but ultimately something that will get him to that next stop.
Yeah, there are former coaches that have gotten a second job by taking a year off, Mike McCarthy, Doug Peterson amongst them, but it does feel like the best path to becoming a head coach again is by working and showing your contributions day in and day out.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.